This Three Beards Media podcast may contain mature themes, and if you're not down with that, we got 3 words for you. Like the podcast. Nailed it!
What's up, everyone? Sam, Ben, and Jim here, the 3 blind refs. We're not really blind, and yes, I said Jim last because he's the least important. But hey, we're excited you're here with us. We're excited for the podcast. Before we start, just want to give a shout out to Three Beards Media for producing us, and also Revelton Distillery for their sponsorship, making this possible. So, Ben, Jim, what's up, guys?
How's it going tonight, Sam?
Good.
Good to see you, Sam.
Yeah, we are not in the same room, which is fine because I probably saw Jim, but
I thought we'd wait 10 minutes into the.
I know. I just want people to know that as much crap as Jim and I give each other, you know, we're cool. So don't worry about our safety at all.
Especially Sam's.
Yeah. So thoughts on the upcoming season. So we've got registered. The test just opened today. I haven't taken it yet. Excited?
Absolutely.
Not your first rodeo, right?
Not my first by any means.
Yeah. Ben?
It does kind of feel like really once we hit this week every year, you know, the test is open. We've got our officiating clinic on Wednesday night. It kind of feels like it's here way too soon, but also like super excited for the beginning of the season and just getting going and getting into basketball and hanging out with you guys all the time, you know? So, I mean, it is exciting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Always looking forward to the winter and seeing you guys and the car rides there and the car rides home and a little bit of basketball in between.
Yeah. We're about to see a lot of windshield time, which is, it's okay because there's a lot of memories made there. So, so let's start off the pod. So the focus tonight is really just to introduce ourselves, let you guys know what our purpose is for the podcast.
Did you have a red Solo cup, Ben?
I did. Yes.
Okay. So sorry, Sam.
Red Solo.
Diet Mountain Dew, Jim.
Okay.
Yep. Good thing it's diet. Basketball season's coming up.
Yeah.
But so back to our viewers. We would love to make this, you know, interactive. You guys can comment during the show. If there's anything that you want us to hit on, you know, throughout the season, we're going to hit on a bunch of stuff, you know, whether it's, you know, new rules analysis, funny stuff that we see during games, because believe it or not, we see a lot of funny stuff. But if there's anything that you want us to hit on, just give us a chat, give us a comment, and let us know. Also, head out and like our social media on Twitter and Facebook. Then also be sure to like and subscribe. So tonight I wanted to talk about, let's go way back, how all of us got started officiating. Because that's the big question, right? Like, especially today, in today's world, there's so much controversy around officiating. It's like, why would anybody want to do this, right? So I just want to hear, like, Jim and Ben, how did you guys get started? Did you start officiating? I know that Ben and Jim kind of have a little bit of different background than I do. They were in coaching first, which is, a whole different animal. So, Jim, let's start with you and just hear kind of your background, how you got started in officiating.
And I actually started officiating first in college, about my sophomore year, reffing some intramural basketball games. And then my brother and I decided, hey, let's see if we can do some junior high games in the area. We went to Graceland College in Lamoni, and we started doing junior high games around the area there. And it was great extra money when you're a college student, and then really started to enjoy that. Did my first varsity game while I was still in college. And then after I got out and got a teaching job, I was coaching basketball, coached for about 3 years, and then got back into the officiating and officiated another 10, 12 seasons. And then I had daughters playing basketball. So I ended up coaching some high school basketball for a few years. And Ben can tell you how cordial I was to officials at the time.
I will.
I was really good. And then after they were out of high school, I got back into officiating again and have been since. And I think this, if I've counted it up right, it's my 30th year of officiating this year. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Jim.
So yeah, that's kind of where I started and how things have went for me.
I love it. So, Jim, once you got done coaching, that was about the time that the dinosaurs became extinct.
They finally took the peach baskets down and put up a rim and a net. So we didn't
tell us about whittling your whistles out of dinosaur bones. Because now we use Fox 40s.
You're an idiot.
Also, I wore my reffing shirt over my collared work shirt just so you would feel comfortable.
I love it. I love it. I'm not even sure if I have one left, but I'm going to have to try to find one.
We should wear those some night.
We need to do a throwback game. We kind of talked about it on that game that we have at Earlham, and doing a little throwback and wearing the collared shirts and that. So maybe if they even make them anymore, I'm sure they do a whistle that has a P still in it and that. So it'll be interesting.
I'm gonna be sure to get my flat front pants, the Western style.
Yes.
Very nice.
So, Ben, I'm intrigued now to hear, did you ever officiate when Jim was coaching?
As a matter of fact, Sam, I did. And
oh, boy.
I might even be able to tell you the year here. Let's look back.
That could date us all.
I don't see it right off the top of my
yep. 03, 04, 05, somewhere there.
No, I see.
That's because
January
Ben has Excel books going back to 87.
I do. January 24th of 09.
Oh, wow.
He knows
maybe
the
there
day.
was some. Yeah. I'm an accountant, right? I have a spreadsheet for every year that I've officiated except for the very first one. And I've dug to try to find what I did, and I can't. So I don't have any records of that. But anyway.
So what was Jim like as a coach?
We'll get into starting reffing and how you do it and how you evolve as an official. And when I was probably pretty early in my career, I was at Melcher Dallas and a lot of other Bluegrass Conference teams to officiate. And I really didn't know my head from my ass, I'll be honest. Again, we'll probably talk about it in the future, but nobody wants to do this unless they really love the game. And so we just got into it, and we were doing it without knowing a whole lot because schools need officials. And we thought we were good, but we weren't very good. And Jim was very good at reminding us how poorly we officiated.
Wow, that really came full circle, didn't it, Jim?
And to be fair, I'm sure he was correct. And again, I think it's hard as a coach, especially when you know officiating, to look at officials, watch officials that don't necessarily know what they're doing when you know more than them, and try to coach and take all that in, because it's impossible, right? I mean,
exactly.
For the most part, I think all of us officials are type A personalities, and so it's just impossible to mesh those two things together, I guess.
So how many years is this for you, Ben?
This will be year 19. My story is a little bit similar to Jim. After college, I went to Earlham Small School, played 4 sports. Sports was kind of my thing. Just loved it. Took some coaching classes in college at Buena Vista, go Beavers, and got back and was working, but just kind of felt like I needed something else. And so I started coaching freshman boys basketball at Earlham. And I want to say it was like the 02-03 season maybe. And I did that like 2.5 seasons. The coaching staff moved on, kind of changed up a little bit. And at that point, a good buddy of mine, Wade Anderson, shout out to Wade, asked me if I wanted to officiate, and I never even really considered it. But we literally wrote letters to every, so as an official, you get that book with all of the addresses and all the schools and all the athletic directors, right, every year. We literally wrote a letter to every AD in Southwest Iowa. I was living in Winterset. Wade was in Adair. And so we kind of focused on Southwest Iowa and wrote a letter to every AD in Southwest Iowa and just started getting games without even knowing what the heck we were doing. So we got some varsity games that first year. That was 05-06. And we were just doing 2-man still then. So Wade and I worked together, and then we tried to do, as many freshmen, JV, any, junior high, anything we could get our hands on to try to get better at the game, right? Because as we'll discuss someday, the more reps you get, it's like anything, the better you get. So that's, I've been reffing ever since, and it's kind of like a rite of passage. I don't know what I'd do in my life without it. You know what I mean?
Isn't it crazy how it's evolved and how you get games? Back then when we did send letters out, I mean, not even an email, we sent letters out. ADs would send you back a schedule. You would highlight maybe or circle the games you wanted, send them back. And, if you were the first one to get back to them, you got some games in that. And just so much different now that, we just get assigned by a signer and we click accept, and there it is. It's a whole different animal than it was 20 years ago.
For sure.
That is kind of crazy. I never experienced and this is not an old joke, but I never experienced the writing letters stuff.
You've never written a letter, probably.
Well, I don't even know how to indent.
So, Sam, obviously, Jim and I's paths are a little bit similar. Tell us about yours.
Well, mine started with Ben, actually. I was just minding my own business, officiating. So Winterset has an Optimist Club tournament every March. Just one tournament. I'd come back from college and I would do, 5-6 games a day. Ben actually had daughters playing in the tournament. And after one of the games, just minding my own business, and Ben said, "Hey, you ever thought about, getting certified and becoming an official?" Well, I don't know. Well, I think that, you have some raw skills that we could develop, and I think you could be a good official. So long story short, next season I took the test, got certified, got as many junior high games as I could, went around a couple times with Ben, and that's how I got started. And then I didn't know at the time how much I would really like it. you know, a lot of people think about officiating as just being on the court, right? But it's so much more than that. And I didn't realize at the time, but obviously I'm entering my 11th season. So there's way more than just being on the court. Obviously I love the kids, love the coaches, love the fans, most of them. You know, I've met so many people since I've been officiating. And yeah, so Ben, props to Ben for, you know, taking a chance on me and seeing potential. And I don't know if potential's gotten better, but I'm here anyway.
It hasn't.
I figured. But I'll tell you this. So I started doing, you know, lower level junior high. I've said it once and I'll say it a million times. The lower the level, the harder it is to officiate.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
Because a travel's not a travel all the time. A double dribble's not a double dribble all the time. And it's like, where do you draw the line? And, you know, so that was, I spent several years I spent the first probably year doing just junior high. And then I did a blended schedule. I did that for probably 4 or 5 years. And I thought, you know what? I mean, I really think that my place is in, you know, like varsity level, you know, because a travel's a travel, the double dribble's a double dribble.
And I think I maybe told you that at one point watching you. I would go watch junior high games to try to give you tips, different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just trying to help you before we got to the show.
Yep.
I think the junior high stuff eventually makes you worse. I mean, you can start there to try to get, you know, just to get to the hand signals and different things, the calls, all those things down in your head so they become, you don't have to ever think about those things. But eventually, like you said, the game is not, it's rough, right? And mom and dad are screaming at little Billy to do this and do that, or, you know, it's just hard as heck.
I still remember too, Ben, the first time that I went to it was like a jamboree with you and Ben and Tim, who were a couple of our other partners.
Bryant,
Tim. Bryant and Tim. And you were trying to teach me 3-man mechanics. It was like learning Greek. I'd been doing 2-man mechanics. So like, Ben, maybe you can explain the difference between 2-man and 3-man. So Ben's kind of our rules guy.
Am I?
Well, Jim, you can take a crack too. But I was doing 2-man, and I started trying to do 3-man with you guys, and I'm like, this is a whole different animal. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for it. But it's like you said, Ben, like reps, like continuous reps. And then it just becomes second nature. You know where to go to, you know where your partners are going to go to, rotate. So,
well, that's it. You know, you talk 2-man, 3-man there. 3-man ends up becoming much easier for you. Now, people say that because, it's less running. It really isn't less running unless, you know, you get stuck in the rocking chair in the C and you're going back and forth in that position.
I do my best.
Which would the C, if anybody, you know, is out there listening, it's, you know, you're going from free throw line to free throw line. And sometimes you get caught in that. But the easier thing is you have less area to watch. And so I think you just become more focused on what you're watching instead of when you're in a 2-man, you have so much more to watch. And some of it is just, it's out of where you're even, you know, you just get cut off by players sometimes. And that's why some things are missed in a 2-man game versus a 3-man game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 3-person mechanics have also helped get a lot more off-ball stuff because, as Jim said, you know, primarily when you have two gals on the floor, you are watching the ball. You're watching the matchup with the ball, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we can get maybe the dirty stuff that's going on off ball. We can get illegal screens. We can get things that also matter to the game that we weren't able to get before. And just having those eyes out there with three of us, I think it's good. And especially, as the game gets faster and now we have the shot clock, there's just a ton of things going on that three people make it, I think, much, much better.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that we talked before a game, obviously we pre-game, and we'll get into that, in later episodes, but maybe tonight, I don't know. But we talk about watch illegal screens. If you see one at the start, bang it and nip it in the butt, right? Because as officials, we don't want to insert ourselves into the game, but we also want to control the game. So
Yep. Getting that illegal screen early, I think, sets the tone for, hey, we're paying attention and we're not going to allow those type of things. It just cleans the game up a lot more, I think.
And I think it's paid off for us in the past too. It really does clean stuff up early. So
yeah, I think you have to set that tone early, because if you don't, then gets later on in the game, it just continues to get a little bit rougher, and then you try to start cleaning it up then, and it just becomes a whole mess. Nobody knows what's going to be called and that. So, you want to get on that stuff early, and kids will adjust to the way you're calling the game and move on from there. So,
Yep, agree. So let's talk about some of the highlights of officiating. Why do we do what we do? Right.
I can start that one off if you want me to.
All right, go ahead, Jim.
Some of it's just, my biggest thing is the people that I've met. I think I've created some great friendships, relationships with a lot of officials. Definitely, Sam and Ben, Scott Giles, Bryant Abel, Tim Osterhaus, Casey Pelzer is going to be working with us a little bit. Rich Sukup, who worked with us some. I know I'm going to leave some out, but even some that I worked with early in my years, Mitch Miller and my uncle Kelly McMillan, Mark Peterson. Those people, some of them, you become more than just an official. You build friendships. You get to know their family. You feel like you're part of their family. You go and watch them do things. It's just. I think that's the highlight for me is being able to build relationships with people, get to know people that you didn't. We don't see each other maybe all that often, especially in the off season, but there's hardly a week goes by where somebody doesn't throw a text to somebody else, whether it's giving somebody crap or whatever it may be. But, I just think that's the biggest thing for me. There's so many other things, but I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with Jim on that. My daughter always gives me crap. I was at a district cross country meet the other night, and she looks over and I can see her and her friends laughing at me, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, you're always talking to somebody. And I was talking to a couple ADs. It's just, friends and people that I met, administration that I met over the years. And, beyond your partners, just the administrators, the coaches, the kids, right? We all see kids. Caitlin Clark's a perfect example of kids where you're like, oh, we reffed her. And, so there's a ton of camaraderie between all of those people. So totally agree. And trying to keep in shape a little bit and getting up and down the floor,
Cool. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. The people that I've met, the contacts that I've made, and to your point too, Ben, like a lot of times I'll go somewhere and my wife all the time is like, you seriously know everybody. And I'm like, it's officiating. Like it is, so between that and then, obviously being a former athlete myself, 4 sports in high school, it's like, I just wanted to stay around the game, and I never had the opportunity to get into coaching, but I was like, well, what else could I do? And it was insert Ben, officiating. I have a great time having conversations with kids during games or coaches, and a lot of people think, that we're like robots, right? Like we're just there to do one job. Like, no, I want to create memories. I want to build relationships, and to me, that's what it's all about. And not to mention the windshield time with you guys is pretty cool also. So,
right. And we, and to your point too, all the time we spend together when it's not the season too, like Jim said, we basically became a family, whether it's a pool party at Tim's this summer or hanging out on a Friday night after a long game at wherever it may be on the way home. I mean, it's just, we just have become a big family, and we ref, with around 6 guys, which is unusual, but it's good to mix in guys. And, if Jim can't work because he's an athletic director, or Tim's watching his son, I mean, it's nice to have that reliability, to have guys that you're familiar with all the time. So,
agree. Yep. Jim, you got anything more to add?
Well, I just on that, after I came back from coaching and got back into officiating, I really didn't have any partners, and we're thick into the 3-man game, and so I was just being assigned to randoms for about 10 years, and I met a lot of good people, a lot of cool people, but it just wasn't like it is now with, the camaraderie we have with each other. It was, I'd work with 2 guys one night, another 2 on Friday, and next week 4 more different people. And it just kind of got to the point where for me, it just wasn't as fun anymore. And then I got lucky enough, got back in the state tournament, worked a first round game with Ben. And after the game, Ben asked, "Hey, do you want to join our team?" And changed my whole perspective on, because I was, honest. I've talked to Ben and I've talked to you guys before. I was ready to get out. It just was, the camaraderie that I'd had beforehand and that I have now wasn't there in the middle. And, that's what makes it. And that's what we're trying to, one reason this podcast is we want to get some younger officials to get out there on the floor because we need them. And we want them to see what this is like, not just the game itself, not just blowing the whistle, but having fun with friends and just the camaraderie and getting together and talking about things not even related remotely to officiating. So that's I think our goal in some of this is to bring more people into this officiating arena and see how much fun it really is.
Definitely. Yeah. And Jim, to your point, you talked about being assigned to random individuals. That's a double-edged sword, right? Because obviously I love the camaraderie with you guys, but also being assigned with random people, like I've learned a lot of, different techniques,
absolutely,
what to do, what not to do. Right. I mean, it teaches you both sides.
Yep.
I've met a lot of cool people both ways. But
for sure. And to build on that point, as we've gotten further in our careers and you get to know the reffing community, you get the privilege of going to state and things like that. We've met tons and tons of officials, and, we're always texting or, talking with those people too. I mean, it's even though our community of 6 may be small, we're talking with, a ton of refs all the time, so
mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
We're all going through the same stuff every night.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, I think we should take a quick break, get a sweet ad from our sponsor Revelton. When we come back, we are going to take you through what a night looks like for us, the drive, the locker room, pregame ritual, etc. So
not everything.
Well, keep it PG, Jim. We can do this.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back in a sec.
At Revelton Distilling Company, everyone has become a part of the Revelton family. From the Taylors and their daughter who helped perfect their award-winning gins, to the team who installed Lucy, our 33-foot-tall custom-made still, right down to the local farms that provide our coveted corn, and even the cows on those farms who consume our mash byproduct. Want to see the farm to flask come to life? Now you can tour Lucy and find out where we take Iowa's harvest and transform it into our finest spirits. Choose between a 45-minute tour or find out even more by scheduling a VIP behind-the-scenes tour to get the taste of the full Revelton experience. You can visit them at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, or find all of Revelton's award-winning spirits at any local grocery or spirits retailer.
Go, Sam.
What?
Where'd you go?
What do you got to know?
We needed that ad to be a little bit longer, I guess.
It was perfect timing. Hey, thank you, Revelton. Appreciate your sponsorship. So we're back. Jim, let's start with you.
Oh boy.
Let's talk through. So even like the day. So say it's a Tuesday, right? You got a game that night. All right. Are you thinking about the game during the day? Take me through.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So I would say, it starts off with usually the day before, the night before a game, I have all my clothes ready and I always have 2 sets.
You do, or Lisa does?
No, I do.
Okay.
All my referee and stuff.
Shout out to Lisa.
Shout out, Lisa.
Saint. You're a saint,
He's
Lisa.
listening. Anyway, so I have 2 full sets, but I have my certain way. I make sure that, when I stack them, so I don't forget anything, and fold them up, put them in the suitcase. Usually set it by the door. Go to school, and then there might be some point in time where I have a break, and you take a look at some game film from some other time, looking at some rules during the day, thinking about your matchups that you have that night. I'll go on to Bound and look and see, who we're playing. Maybe they've played each other before. Just
Cheers.
Shout out Jerry Bohe.
Jerry.
I just was trying to. You obviously missed earlier. I was just trying to make Jim feel comfortable with the collar and yeah.
So
Sorry, Jim.
Usually come home right after school, grab my bag, throw it in the back of the car, and I'm usually meeting someone somewhere, or meeting just depends on where it's at. Central Iowa to that I'm usually driving myself, or if we're going over west, I'm meeting somebody over there, or if someone's coming down this way, they're meeting me here. So then we head out, and we usually, when we're in the vehicle, we talk about anything and everything. Some of it we won't talk about, but a lot of it is about the game. We may talk about last night's game, or last Tuesday's game on a Friday, and say, hey, let's look at this. What do you think about that? I looked at this on film. Do you think that was a foul? Just things like that. And we'll go through it and try to, either explain why we called it that, or say, hey, maybe I might've been wrong on that one. That's the thing, that it's not a big deal to be wrong, because we're going to make mistakes on the floor. The kids are going to make mistakes on the floor. The coaches are going to make mistakes on the floor. So, we're going to do the best job that we can every night out. So we get to the game, get to the locker room, relax a little bit before we start getting dressed. And as we're getting dressed, we usually start a pregame, and, we just talk about different, we'll get into more of a pregame, I think, of what we do later on in another episode, and go out and officiate the game after that. And, after the game, it depends on where we're at, what day it is. We either will head back home, or we might stop off and get something to eat, have a drink, and talk more about the game and our families and whatever it is. And that's kind of a typical night for all of us, I think. But I'm sure that there's some things in there I probably left out and that. But you guys go ahead.
Lisa said you're a perfectionist. Lisa's Jim's wife, by the way. She's a sweetheart. Thank you, Keegan.
Thanks Keegan.
Thanks, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Same to you. Thanks for all you guys do.
You bet. So, Jim, do you have any like pregame ritual, like superstition, anything that you have to do, or else you feel weird?
I think it's really, I mean, I probably do this in my everyday life. I get dressed the same way every single time.
Pants on one leg at a time?
Well, yeah.
Red?
You know, it just is, you know, one thing has to go on after the other, and there you go. And from that point, and I have to have my gum. I know some people don't like that, you know, officials chew gum out on the floor.
I'm going to talk about that.
I've done it for a long, long time, and I don't know if I could go without it. So, you know, I don't too many other rituals. No, I don't, you know, am I nervous before every game? Yeah. I always tell when I was coach kids, I said, if you're not nervous, you're not ready. You know, if it's really, you know, no big deal to you, then I don't think you put full effort into it. I mean, I'm nervous because I want to do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Love it. Ben, what about you? Take us through like a, you know, say it's a Tuesday or a Friday, you got a game coming up, you think about it during the day.
I'll back up even further, like, you know, just so people kind of understand. You know, I've got a spreadsheet here with all of our games, and generally our policy is whoever is the referee for that night has to contact that school. So, you know, generally we try to do.
Good point.
For me, you know, it might be Monday for Friday, but probably the week before for a Tuesday game, I'm going to contact the AD, send an email and say, hey, we three are coming. We're going to be here generally an hour before is what we shoot for. You know, just so everybody's on the same page. And, you know, obviously weather becomes a part of this equation at some point too. That way, you know, I'll usually give them my cell just in case we need to contact, because we have had issues on the road where game got canceled or we got caught in a major traffic jam because of a quick snowstorm and we couldn't get to where we needed to be on time. So that's probably step one. During the day, I will look at bound. I will, you know, even before that, I would say, you know, like Jim kind of said, we're looking at clips during the week of maybe our last game, or maybe one of our other partners has passed on a clip of a weird play, right? We're always talking about weird plays, I think, how we would officiate this, because there's all sorts of things going on every single night, whether it's college or high school. So we might be looking at those. But again, I'm going to kind of look at the teams, you know, what we've got, what the coaches' names are. Just want to have a lot of information going into each night. You know, like Jim said, we're always going to meet generally if we can to drive together when it works. And we have certain places that we meet, whether it's northwest, south, east, you know, we kind of have our specific spots. And then we always try to get there an hour before. And so when you talk about superstitions a little bit, like when I get there, I'm like Jim, like my stuff has to be in my bag a certain way every day.
Oh, I know.
and
I'm going to talk about you.
Great. And honestly, if we don't have that hour, I start to lose my mind a little bit, just because I have these certain ways I put on my clothes and these stretches I have to do. And this is the pregame I want. And I have to have 3 mints in this pocket, and I have to have a needle for the ball in another pocket. And just like everything for me has to go a certain way. You know, and then we get into a game and it just kind of flows, and we are talking at timeouts. We're talking at quarters. We're talking about half, about things we see go on. And so when people watching us see us together and we might have our, you know, hands over our mouth talking, we're talking about the game. You know, are we having an issue with a coach? Are we having an issue with a player? We need to get an illegal screen, or, you know, whatever it might be. I think we're always kind of talking about the game, because there's no sense in leaving information out there, right? So I think we're always communicating. That's what I love about our crew is we're always communicating and trying to do the best we can and giving each other information to make that happen. So, yeah, to your point then, so if we're, let's just say, an hour west, you know, we got to be there at 5 o'clock for a 6 o'clock tip. We're going to be there till 9:30 by the time we shower. We're going to stop and get, probably the only thing open is Casey's, if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the AD takes care of us. Maybe we'll get a hot dog, hamburger, chicken, whatever. And then we're home by 10:30, 11, 12. Just depends on how far we're going that night. So
Quick start at Fort Dodge.
quick starts.
Oof.
That's like the best invention ever.
Yeah, it is. Except for that night.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
We'll have story night for sure.
Jerry, love it.
He will be
Charger.
now, Jerry.
Yeah.
He will be now, Jerry.
Thanks for for asking that question there, Jerry. We appreciate that.
I love it.
Sam, your turn.
Yeah, so I think about the game a lot during the day. Nerves kind of start to set in around noon. I would say I'm always the guy that
Is late.
It's late. That was in stereo.
I was gonna say coming in hot, but late's fine too. But what Ben doesn't tell you is most of the time I stop at a convenience store and I get both him and I a Bang energy drink because that is part of my ritual, which I have pawned off on Ben. So
That's fair. I mean,
Sometimes you get a big gulp before we go all the way to Oskaloosa.
that's a story in itself, Jim.
Yep.
I
That'll be
don't
another
know
one.
if I know that one.
Yeah, well, you'll know
Yeah,
it.
well, you got out to go to the bathroom, and I think we heard banjos.
Yeah, we did. Maybe harmonicas.
So you must have been down by Melcher, Dallas.
It was
Close.
between Knoxville
Close.
and Oski.
Close, yes.
Come on.
Shout
So
out
my-
Melcher, Dallas.
Yeah. Go Saints. So
Don't you say the other thing that you say. I have kids listening to this at some point.
Go Saints.
So I thank you.
You're welcome. So an energy drink, I know it's horrible for me. Pre-game ritual. Gotta have it. If I don't have it, I don't feel right. Get to
That's
the
fair.
game. Had an energy drink. First thing gotta do, find the restroom, right? But then I'm a creature of habit as well. So I have to get my uniform on the exact same every single time. I'm more like Jim and Ben than I care to admit. But I
It's not a
do.
bad thing.
I do. So and before we go out, I have to have I'm gonna get very detailed here.
Whoa.
Two cinnamon icebreaker mints and 2 pieces of cinnamon Trident gum. I have to have it.
Are those in your pocket?
No, those were before.
All of those go in your mouth before the game.
All of those going out before the game, and those mints might last me to halftime.
Really?
You have those in your mouth
Yep.
while you're officiating? The mints?
I've got cheeks like a squirrel, Jim.
Well, so do I, but I don't know. I would spit them out on the floor.
I will say, when we get mid-season and everybody runs a cold or whatever, I have officiated with cough drops in. And to Sam's
Yes.
point, they will last quite a while because it's not like it's kind of more like you tuck them away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can't do gum. I can't do it.
You don't do gum, just mints?
No, just mints, and I only do those at quarter. So. Yeah.
So for me, it's energy drink, gum and mints. It can't be cinnamon Altoids. It's cinnamon icebreakers, and I buy them in bulk on Amazon, baby, every single season.
Also, shout out to Scott Giles, for buying me a gallon thing of mints, so I will never have to replenish those.
These are you've had these for like 3 years now, right?
They're fine. They're mints. They don't go bad.
Hey, Scott, I could use some mints. Cinnamon icebreakers, Amazon. So yeah, that's it for me. So let's talk a little bit more about Ben, like his suitcase, right?
Oh, whoa!
Here we go.
That would cost him like $100 if he had to check it at the airport.
So Ben comes in with this like 4 by 6 foot suitcase. And that's like not much of an exaggeration. Like he's going to climb Mount Everest.
Has to go sideways through the door with it.
Right? And the first time I went to a game with Ben, dumb old me, I had a duffel bag, and I'm like, what's this guy have in this suitcase? Like, it's like he's getting on a jet, Well, come to find out, he's got like 3 pairs of everything.
Yeah, because I've been around you bozos long enough that somebody is going to forget something. And Sam, what did you forget that night?
Okay, we'll tell that story. The very first game, varsity game that I officiated was with you, Ben. And
where?
It was at Lennox.
Best shower. Best shower.
That's another topic. That's
the best shower. Another topic. The best shower. So Ben was harping on me for like 2 days. Hey, make sure you have everything. Bring a towel. Okay, got it. Oh, what did I forget? Jim?
Oh.
A towel.
The towel. Forgot a towel. So here's young Sam getting out of the shower without a towel.
Those school paper towels are nice, aren't they?
And Ben said, "Hey, I've got this extra towel if you want to use one, but I don't want to go through the work of taking it home, washing it, giving it back, So
I don't even care.
It's all good, this is fine." So I used the brown roll of paper towels, right?
Very absorbent.
No, they're zero absorbent, and I had cuts all over my body for a week trying to dry off.
This is a true story.
Any young official looking to get started, pack a towel or 2.
So I would give my large suitcase. I would put that on Scott Giles. Scott had a big suitcase all the time.
Yeah.
And I love Scotty G, and I just wanted to emulate him in every single way. So I went with that. Plus, I have to make sure I have every single thing for everybody that night, right? And I keep an extra pair of shoes. Usually I drive quite a bit. I have an extra pair of shoes in my truck just in case, because I know, was it Tim that forgot shoes, or, pants break, right? Like zippers break. I mean, we've all had weird things go down, buttons break. I'm just not going to leave that to chance anymore. So if I have to carry a big bag, so be it.
It's not a bad thing. So that
plus now we're all getting old as heck, and like I put the massage gun in there and all that crap too, right?
What are you looking at, Sam?
What are we doing?
Yeah, maybe you're not that old.
That first time you put your pants on to begin the season.
Suck it in. Suck it in a little bit. Need a couple weeks to shorten that waist down a little bit.
They're stretchy. It's fine.
Mine
Unless you got
aren't.
those new fancy pants that Sam has now.
No.
Big time Bryant.
Big time.
Where's big time? Oh.
Good stuff.
Are we done? Are we done
All right.
talking about my bag?
Yeah, we're done talking about your bag. So we got 10 minutes left here. I want to tell a road story
Oh no.
that
I wasn't there, was I?
unfortunately or fortunately I was not a part of.
Well, which one is this one?
This has to do with
Rich.
you, Ben, and Rich.
Oh.
And I was not there, but I feel like I've heard this story enough to where I was there.
I'll never forget it.
This is it's just classic. So like this is just one of the many stories of officiating.
Okay, we're gonna tell this, and then we got to wrap up, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let me set the scene a little. Rich Sukup is an amazing official and an even better guy.
Yeah.
And one of the most laid back officials you'll ever meet. super smooth, knows the rule book left and right. And he drives very calm, very
55.
very good drive. Yeah,
55.
like almost too calm.
Yep, perfect weather, 55.
So Jim and Rich and I are going to a game at St. Ed up at Fort Dodge. So a little bit of a haul here. And they had kind of talked about weather, and I don't think it hadn't even done anything when we went up, right, Jim?
No, it was perfect out.
And we do the game, and again, we're probably in there, hour before, so 4.5 hours, maybe,
Yeah.
right? We come out, and it's got to be 4 inches of snow.
Yep.
And so we're rolling south on 169, I think, on the way home.
Well, first we're on the 4-lane, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we passed the snowplow.
Who's sitting where in the car?
I'm in the back seat by myself.
Yeah. I'm passenger.
Okay. Ben's riding shotgun. Okay.
Yep.
So we're setting the stage here.
So Rich, out of nowhere, decides, out of his normal, calm self, that he's now going to turn into like Mad Max driving style. So it's slick, it's quick, wet snow, it's thick.
And he's not driving a 4-wheel drive car.
No, he's
Nope.
driving a little compact car, basically. And both Ben and I,
Altima or something.
both Ben and I have 4-wheel drives, but we didn't take them.
And
Why would you?
And we had stopped to grab something to eat at, I don't even know where.
Culver's.
Culver's. That was a nice night before COVID when things were actually open to a decent amount of time. So Rich is driving and eating his chicken sandwich or hamburger while driving now. It felt like 90 in the snow, passes the snowplow. And I think I'm starting to just grab onto anything I can. And so I text, Jim's right behind me. I text him. And it was so bad. Jim, do you remember all the texts?
I can't. I remember you texted me something, and I said something about, I don't know, am I praying too loud?
So then there's that little railroad track crossing kind of down by Boone, right?
Yep.
And we're supposed to turn right there, I think, to jump back on 169, if I remember correctly. But there's a new way you can get on, but at that time, that's how it was. And normally, it's a pretty decent railroad crossing. And normally you'd slow down for it. And I think he sped up. And I bet we were doing 80. And I texted Jim and I said, how much air did you think we got off that railroad track?
And this is a classic line.
I said, all of it. All 4 tires were off the ground. I thought I could not wait to get back to the Target parking lot and get in my own car. I thought I was going to die. Sorry, Rich.
Love you, Rich. And I think Rich was either in a ditch reffing a college game or something that week before or the week after.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's right. So
he
he'd had experience being in a ditch, and he didn't care.
Didn't
either
matter.
way.
Didn't care.
Yeah.
So if you're ever reffing with Rich, make sure you
don't let him drive. Just don't let him drive.
I can drive from Target. No, it's good. I'll drive. Yeah, I got 4-wheel drive. It's cool. I'll go 55. Cool. So, what do you guys want to? Anything to wrap up tonight? We're about out of time.
I think we're there.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about a lot of things we want to talk about in the future, and I think the doors wide open for ideas. We'll get into rules and games and coaches and locations, and I think we can have coaches on and maybe the head of officials or signers. I think there's 1,000 different ways we can go here, and we'd sure love to have interaction with our listeners at some point down the road too, where ask us a question about a play. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we will we'll
Jerry.
wrap up tonight. like Ben and Jim said, you know, we got a lot that we want to cover this year. Obviously, we don't have many rules or stories yet as the season hasn't gotten started, but we will be with you every other week, I believe. Ship, is that right? If you want to come back on.
You bet. How you doing, guys? Nice job. Yeah, Wednesdays, every other Wednesdays. I think November 9th will be your next episode. So
Okay.
that's where we have you slotted, 8 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. So it's been really enjoyable.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll see you November 9th. And in the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, give us feedback, anything you'd like us to cover. Also, shout out to Three Beards Media again. Also, Revelton, thank you very much. Appreciate you making this possible.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks guys. We'll see you.